Hello and welcome to episode 7 of my tutorial series. Our topic this time is the intelligence screen. Let's start with an overview. We have our internal espionage, a country list similar to the one in the diplomacy screen, external espionage, and information our spies have gathered about the selected country. Before we do anything else, you should know how spies work. As I explained in the technology tutorial, you decide how many spies are generated each day by spending leadership, and you can see your daily spies up in the info bar. Right now we generate 0.3 spies every day, so we get a new spy about every 3 to 4 days. When a new spy is generated, he will automatically go to another country or stay at home depending on where he is needed. You influence this by setting spy priority. These 3 colored bars indicate the spy priority for each country. If it's empty, no spies will be sent there. With 1 bar it's low priority, 2 bars is medium priority, and 3 bars is maximum spy priority. The higher the priority, the more spies will be sent to that target. Note that you cannot have more than 10 spies in a country, but if that happens, your new spies will just be sent elsewhere, so there's nothing to worry about. Alright, let's now take a look at our internal espionage. Free spies is the amount of spies that have nothing to do. Whenever all the countries you want to spy on max out at 10 spies, new spies will be shown here and wait for a job. Active spies abroad shows us our total amount of spies active in countries other than our own. Active domestic spies tells us how many spies we currently use in our own country. Of course, the maximum is 10 here as well, and we can increase or decrease the spy priority for our country by left or right clicking the bar. Partisan efficiency indicates the strength of rebels in your country, and it's mentioned here in the intelligence screen because rebels may receive support from other countries' spies. Spies caught tells us how many enemy spies we have caught in the last month, and if an exclamation mark appears next to the number, it means we have detected enemy spy activity on our country, but they're still at large. You can hover over the exclamation mark to see what we know about the spies' origins and their mission. Then we have our neutrality, which doesn't really have a reason to be here anymore. In earlier versions of the game, there used to be a spy mission to lower your own neutrality, and this just seems to be a remnant of that. So now we have 3 possible missions for our spies active internally. Counter-espionage is the default and makes your spies focus on neutralizing enemy spies in your country. You can also support your ruling party, which helps you avoid a fractured government and increases resistance to coups. Raising national unity is also important. As we saw in the politics tutorial, national unity determines what laws you can enact. With some countries that start with lower unity, you should try to increase it to at least 70 and if possible 80, so that you can enact the heavy industry emphasis law when at war. Next we have the country list, which can be filtered just like the one in the diplomacy screen. You can also order the list by several different stats. Every time you start a game, your country will have spy priorities already set up, so usually one of the first things you'll want to do is order the list by spy priority and see if there are any countries with spy priority that you do not care about, and lower it to 0 by right-clicking the bar. By default, your spies will often be spread too thin, and they could be much more efficient if focused on just a small amount of targets. That way, they get to the maximum amount of 10 spies faster, and allow you to carry out spy missions more effectively. Let's move on to external espionage now. Counter-espionage below the country name tells you how actively they are hunting your spies. Then we have the amount of our active spies in their country and the spy priority. And of course a whole bunch of spy missions to activate. By default, your spies will not have an active mission. In this state, they will still gather information slowly and stay out of trouble, which makes it hard for the enemy to detect and neutralize them. Activating any of these missions will increase the danger your spies are in. Over time, your spies will get spotted and neutralized, but new spies will be sent in to replace them automatically if your spy priorities are set and you're still generating new spies. Let's go through these missions now. Counter-espionage will neutralize enemy spies in the target country. Military, tech and political espionage will gather information on units, technology and the political situation of the target. This information is then available on the right. We can support the ruling party, which helps keep them in power and solidifies their position. This of course helps the target country, so it's something you might use on an allied country. We can also support our party. So as Germany, that would be the National Socialist Party. By supporting our party in another country, we will help the National Socialist Party in their country to get stronger. This makes the government in their country more divided, making them more susceptible to coups, and can even lead to a change in government type on its own if our party's popularity outgrows that of the currently ruling party. This can be used to get countries in your faction that normally would join another faction and completely change the way the war evolves. For Germany specifically, one of the conditions of the Anschluss of Austria decision is that the NSDAP in Austria has at least 40 popularity or organization. The only way to achieve that is by supporting our party in Austria with spies. Disrupting national unity is useful for longer wars of attrition, as it takes some time to make an impact. It's best used in conjunction with strategic warfare effects we saw in the politics screen, like strategic bombing. Decreasing national unity will make the enemy surrender sooner and weaken him a bit. Supporting rebels will make rebels active in their country more powerful. This can be useful when an enemy has another country occupied and has to deal with rebels from that territory. By supporting them, we will make the rebels harder to deal with, which will distract their military. Disrupting research and production will slow down projects of the respective fields. Probably not something you will use on an enemy, but enemy countries may very well use it on you. So keep an eye on enemy spy activity and make sure your production and research are not slowed down, and if they are, focus on counter-espionage until the enemy spies have been neutralized. Increase threat, possibly the most used mission. As you know, declaring war on someone requires either your neutrality to be low or the target's threat to be high. By increasing another country's threat, you can declare war on them earlier than normal, and it might also make them a target for other countries. Finally, we have the Attempt Coup button. This button will be available when the target country has a fractured government and allows you to initiate a coup attempt. If successful, your own party will take control of the target country, so it then has the same ideologies as you do. How likely the coup is to succeed depends on the target's national unity, the strength of your party there, as well as the amount of active spies in the country. Note that you do not necessarily have to execute a coup to get your party to power, as your party can get elected legitimately as well. Coups do have two big advantages though. One is that a successful coup will remove the target from its faction, so you could coup a democratic country, which is already in the Allies, turn it into a communist and have them join the Comintern. If your party just gets elected normally, the faction will not change, so if the country is already joined a faction, it won't help you much. The other advantage is that you do not have to wait for elections for the democratic countries, which will only be every 4 years. You're never guaranteed to succeed with a coup, but it's definitely worth a shot if your party has enough power, like 50% popularity or more, in the target country. Usually this will only happen if you support the party with your spies for a while. Now we just have the information our spies gathered on the selected country. It's all things you know from your own country, but keep in mind these are estimates and may not be very accurate. We can also see what they're currently researching, what are their most and least developed technologies, and a list of known units and ministers. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode, where we will learn about the military.